Hi.
Hello. Oh dear, shorts. I didn't think this through. There we go. I'll just lean.
And it kind of looks like we coordinated with the stripes and the black and the white, but we did not.
Yes, yeah, we wanted to really make sure that that was known, that was clarified. Wait 1 second. Sorry. Oh, let's get all the things worked out here. How are you guys doing?
I feel very up high, and they seem very down low.
I know it's a bit weird, but it's fine. It's kind of nice too, right?
It is nice. I
Like
feel
floating.
important. Congratulations, you have an album out today.
Thank you.
How do you How do you typically feel on an album release day? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I'm a little bit of everything. Yeah, today's it's crazy. It's been such an emotional process, and it's been such a private process as well. I've made this record, and I wrote the book with only a very small amount of people kind of aware of what was happening. And every time we brought people in, it was like kind of a bit of a ceremony of like, okay, now you're involved. So now it's like, okay, it's a big step to kind of let everybody in and to be back out in the world again. But I'm excited.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And it's not a typical album release because, as you mentioned, you've also released a book. What was the idea behind the book?
Well, basically, the record is a little bit of a different sort of a record. It's a fable. The whole record is connected, and I was afraid that when I said that at first that everybody was going to laugh at me. But like so far, only a few people have laughed, so I feel like that's a success right from the start. But it's a story. I mean, I always write sort of stories within songs, and this particular time, I just wanted to write something that connected from one song to the next, like chapters. And so when I was writing the record, I was writing all this backstory, and then I realized pretty quickly that it would either be like a 14-disc album or it would have to have a book attached. So hence the book, and that's been just magical to make.
Well, why don't you pick up that iPad to your left and read some of your book?
Okay.
The Story of Pines.
By the way, I'd just like to say that this is the first time I've ever read a book in public, let alone mine. So please bear with me.
Do you want us to all close our eyes or look down, or
actually
will that
that'd
make
be
you
lovely.
feel better?
That'd be lovely. You know, when I was reading the narration for this, I imagined that I was reading to a bunch of children. So if you can all pretend you're children when you're closing your eyes, that would help me even more, just to add to the story. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1. This is the story of a tree, an evergreen. This tree's name was Pine, for a pine she was. She was not small and not tall, though high enough to climb, dizzy high. She'd grown complete with branches and needles and fingery roots, as trees do. Indeed, she looked like a mostly ordinary pine, like one would not be surprised to find, except there was nothing like her, and had not been for a very long time. For Pine was the last of her kind. She was alone. Pine lived on the side of a mountain. It was a cold, gray, steep mountain, never to be seen without a heavy hat of cloud. Perhaps this was because it was old-fashioned, or perhaps to cover a balding peak. Pine did not know. She never saw the top, not once, no matter how often she looked up. It was a mountain where nothing spoke, at least not to her, and nothing would grow. It was a lonely place. There were no trees, nor grass, nor flowers on the mountain, nor were there trees, grass, or flowers on the land below, or the hills beyond, or anywhere Pine could see. But there used to be. Then.
Nice. That was beautifully read, though I feel really depressed now.
I know, well, I just stopped right at the worst part. Like I said, it's my first reading.
That poor little pine.
It's okay, it turns out all right.
Now, the book is about pines. The album is called Pines. What is it about pines that captivates you?
Well, I think, I was born in Seattle, and Seattle, for those of you who haven't been, you can just imagine the greenest place. It's green and it's gray and it's clean and it's cloudy, and it's very beautifully integrated with nature. And when I was a little girl, we used to go off into the forests on the weekends, and it was just a very beautiful, lovely, hazy, idyllic time. And then my parents divorced and we moved to LA, which is a very different kind of a place. Very urban, very scary for a little girl. And so I think without realizing it, I lived my life pining for this feeling of connection with nature, of happiness, of innocence, of quiet, of freedom. And I didn't realize what that was that I was longing for, but I kept trying to find it. And then one day I woke up and I just realized that I was spending my whole life pining for something I didn't even really know if it had even existed at that time. It was just a memory, and I needed to learn how to live.
So is it true then that the album and the book were sort of ways for you to stop pining?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in a way, even though it's called Pines and it is about pines, it is that. It is trying to learn how to be yourself and yet also be something else.
And so for those of us who pine, I'm a bit of a piner. Is that a word? Piner? Pine?
Sure.
Someone who pines.
It is now. It's fine.
For those of us who aren't talented enough to write a book or put an album together, but we're piners, I really don't think that's a word.
It's okay. Stick with it. You started it. It's okay.
What should we do?
Well, I mean, I think for everybody it's different. You know, I think for me what I did first and foremost was I just looked at my life and I just went, what makes me happy? Like what actually makes me happy? Not what should make me happy, what do I want to make me happy, but what makes me happy even when I don't want to be made happy, you know? And what gives me real joy and what makes my heart bigger than it is or should be, and then build your life on those things. So for me, those things were nature. Nature is a huge part of what makes me feel like the world is good, and friendships, and really learning from other people about what they experience, and connecting to people, and you know, just and storytelling. For me, it was storytelling. It was realizing that I wanted to tell stories, and that I didn't care about being a pop star, and that I didn't care about. Well, I didn't really care about what people thought of me. I just cared about giving some sort of feeling. Like that's to hear from somebody that they've been touched by the music. To me, that's the coolest thing in the whole world. That's cooler than anything I can wear, or anything that I can try to be like, or any sort of social circle. And you know, I think just like finding your core, finding your integrity, and what makes you tick, and then living that. That's, and surround yourself with really good people. I've been very, very lucky. I have excellent friends and excellent family, and a beautiful label as well that made this.
And you
happen.
know great interviewers.
And I know great interviewers. It's very important to have a great interview. Actually, it really is, though. Otherwise, this could be really awkward.
You've always embraced literature in your work. In fact, your stage name, A Fine Frenzy, is borrowed from Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes.
How did you enjoy writing the book, and do you plan to write more?
I loved writing the book, although it was a very, very frustrating thing because I needed to have the book written before the book was written. Like, it needed to be done, and it wasn't. I couldn't even begin to write it. And part of the problem was that I didn't know how it was going to end. I didn't know how it was going to end, so I didn't know how it was going to begin. And so it was an incredibly frustrating, scary thing for a very long time where I had illustrations and no book. And I had told everybody about this book that I was going to make, but with no book. But then, like, once I figured out, some things happened in my life, and then I suddenly knew how it was going to end, and then it just whoosh, like 2 weeks, it just fell out, and it was gorgeous, and it was worth all of that headbanging and nervousness. Well, it had to be worth it because it happened.
And it's doing really well. It's in the top 25 of iBooks.
In the fiction section. Isn't that weird?
That's pretty cool.
That's so cool. I don't know how that happened, but thank you. I can't believe it. Wow.
Let's talk about your album. Pines is your third album. What was the process like? I mean, did it feel like a familiar process making a third album, or were there moments of things happening that you didn't expect?
I think that every time you go into a record, you're a little bit wiser, and you're also totally terrified because, like, it's usually been long enough that it's you think, well, I don't know how to do this anymore, and what if it's terrible? And I did it last time, but that was probably a fluke, and I did it the time before, but I was a child, so that was an accident too. You know, you get like all these fears come out and stuff, but at the same time, I had a more certainty and such love of these songs that it didn't matter how scared I was. And I will tell you, I was terrified, especially because I made such a big deal out of wanting to record the songs live. I was like, they're going to be live, and everybody's going to play it once, and we're going to take them as they are, and I don't care if my voice isn't perfect, but that's all one thing to say that, and it's another thing to actually do that, and just to, embrace that, and embrace the imperfections and the vulnerability and the responsibility that I had. So it was just like this magical, scary, beautiful, challenging gift of an experience to make it.
Do you like listening to your work?
That's a funny question, because depends on my mood, I guess. I think you get to a point where you can appreciate, I can really appreciate this record, and I think we're always our own harshest critics, but what I am proudest of listening to this record, well, A, is the sound of it, because just the musicians, everybody just played so beautifully and I have nothing to do with that except, telling them where we were, so I can be really proud of that, And then I think also I'm proud of how I grew, and I'm proud that I did things that I was scared of, and I'm proud that I went through this whole process with integrity, and I listened to this record, and I know, everyone has their own opinion, and people like different things, and it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I know that I made a record that I love and that I care about, and that I was vulnerable in, and so that I reconnect to that when I listen.
I interviewed you for CNN back in 2007 when you had just released your debut album. Yeah. You had red hair, I had blonde hair. So much has changed. And you performed for us. You performed Almost Lover, and you were so sweet and so young and so excited, and you're still very sweet and young and excited. But so much has happened in your career since then.
Yeah.
Do you look back at that 2007 person and feel different from her?
Oh, of course. I mean, I think we all look back at ourselves. What was that, like 5 years ago? What year are we in? 2012. Wow. You know, and I think you can look at yourself 5 years ago and you think, wow, I was so young and I was so, I just didn't know what was going on, you know, but I think that there was a lot of optimism that I had at that point. And I think there was a point after that where I lost some of that optimism and I lost some of that joy and that sense of belief in people and in myself. And I think that now I feel closer to that person than I did a few years ago, except I'm a lot less scared, which is nice.
For the record, she didn't come across as scared 5 years ago.
But inside I was like, terror.
Does anyone in the audience have a question for Alison?
Just raise your hand and wait for the mic to come to you.
Oh, nobody. Oh, yay. Hooray.
In the back?
Brave person in the back.
Hi, Alison. My name's Eric. I just want to say congratulations on your album.
Thank you.
I was wondering, what is your favorite song on the album and why?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard because if I pick that one, then all the other ones are going to be like looking at that one when I'm not around, like you're the one, and they're going to be mean to it, and it's going to get teased and like beaten up and stuff. So I feel like I should just, say that I depends on my mood. Depends on my mood, because sometimes I want to be slow and sometimes I want to be dancey, and so can't. Don't want to cause problems in the family.
Never want to cause problems. Thank you.
In the second row.
Hi, Alison.
Hello.
Congratulations on your album.
Thank you.
My name is Shauna, and my question is, what do you consider your biggest accomplishment?
Oh, good one. That's a lovely question. I think my biggest accomplishment more than anything is that I feel like I am experiencing my life for the first time. I feel like I'm experiencing everything that's happening now, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm grateful. And I think that that has changed my life. It's just a different way to live. And so I think no matter what, I made this record. Like, this record is against all odds. It's a record that's technically about a tree, and like that's huge. With EMI, this is a big record label. They, bless them for being crazy enough to believe in that. So that's a huge accomplishment. But I think, as a person just living and like laughing and not wanting to cry when I go to bed anymore. Oh, that's depressing. It's okay. It's fine. You're welcome.
Next question. Anyone?
Hold on in the third row.
Hi, Alison. Thanks for doing this.
Of course.
My name is June. Before all your albums sold the first time, and I'm sure you were happy about that, what kept you going through the grind and setting yourself up to do everything, from now and later?
That's a great question. Faith. Sheer crazy faith that this was what I was supposed to do, and love of it. I think that of all the love that I get from every part of music, the thing that feeds me the most is writing a song. And so that's something no one can take away from me. That's like that's a thing that I can have whether one person or 1 million people listen to it, So that was really it, and just positivity and a sense of faith. I don't know. I didn't have a plan B either. I don't know how I didn't have a plan B, but I didn't have a plan B. And I think like a lot of times we go, oh, I really want this, but I don't know if I can have this, so I'm gonna go for this thing, which is lesser, which is easier, which is less risky. And we end up living our plan B. And I think I just was like, maybe I was young, maybe I was just nuts, but I was like, plan A only. And then plan A happened. Whoa. So that's, yeah. Go for plan. Why not, right? I mean, we who knows what happens after this life or before it or anything. There's a million different thoughts, but we know we have now. We know it. And so might as well live whatever.
Let's have a show of hands for all those who are on their plan C or
no,
plan D.
I don't think anybody wants to raise their hand for that. But you can raise your internal hand if you want. You'll know. You'll know.
Any other questions?
In the second row.
Hi, Allison. My name's Bridget.
Hello, Bridget.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What you said about moving away from Seattle and that being like the most magical place really hit home because I just moved away from my home. And so I was just wondering, like, have you found that magical place other places too, or is that always going to be like the most magical?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. I think that there's like a sense that you get of home from like home number one. That's where you're from. That's like where your roots are planted. But then I go to all these different places, and more I discover how beautiful the world is, and that home is here. Home is something that you take with you. Home is friendships. Home is an appreciation of beauty and light and love and viewing life as an adventure. And I think that we can stick to that idea of home and let it dictate what we do. And then I think in that sense it's not a good thing. It's like a fear-based thing. So I think you're really brave, for moving away. And it's, you carry home with you wherever you go.
Any more questions?
Right next to her.
Yeah.
Hey, Alison.
Hello.
I watched one of your videos today with the wolves in the background on your website.
For avalanches.
And I love the simplicity of it.
Thank
and
you.
I also, it reminded me, one of my favorite artists is Jeff Buckley, and it just felt
That's
really
amazing.
emotional watching that video, and it was so simple, and you
Thank
weren't
you.
trying very hard, and that's why I'm here tonight, just to let you know.
Really? That's great. Thank you. Hooray for avalanches.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that song?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because that song is also the foundation of the record. That song is the song that started it all, essentially. I was like, woof, in a bad place mentally, not happy. And then a friend of mine found out that she was going to have a baby. And she's been a really good friend, and we're almost the same age. And I went from going about life like like there's people that have kids, and then there's me, and you go through a wall, and there's a ceremony, and then you become a grown-up, and then that happens, and then there are different people than us, and then suddenly I realized, we're just like all part of it, and we're growing up. And I started to feel this connection with people and with humanity, and especially with children, and I just had this really strong sense of wanting to nurture things, which was very different. And I think that's what the foundation of the record is learning how to nurture myself and to be somebody that, instead of having their heart broken all the time, could learn and grow and then maybe help somebody else. So that's when I wrote Avalanches, and that's why it's called Kulla's Song. So, yeah. So then you picked the first one. And that video was so fun too, but the wolves were amazing. They're just so
Where
beautiful.
did you shoot it?
Whistler. And we had to take snowmobiles to get to the shoot, which was amazing because on a video shoot, there's this quiet and like a writer, and then you're like on camera and you have to be like not have stuff on your face and like pretty, or try to be, or like it's hard to be in front of a camera. It's not necessarily my comfort zone, but we had to go in on a snowmobile. So like I had a helmet on, I had like snow on my face. I fell over on my face because we had like a jacket wrapped around my cloak, and then they buttoned me in, and then I lost my balance and just fell face first in the snow. It was so great. So like it was a simple video, and it was there was a lot of passion and joy because it was just like getting out in one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my entire life, being with wolves, being with a group of really talented people, and walking around in the snow all day. It was like the greatest thing ever. And my hair was crazy, and it was supposed to be. It was great. It was fun.
It is a great video, but were you specifically looking for wolves, or did you just happen to run into them?
Yeah, they just showed up, and we were like, "Hey, you want to come over and be in a video?" No, that was actually what the video was going to be based on. Is wolves, and we wanted. It was actually quite interesting because the wolf wrangler, who we worked with, was shocked when he found out that we wanted to do a nice wolf video. He was like, "Wait, you don't want them attacking anybody? You don't want them pouncing on anybody? Like, you just want nice wolves?" And we were like, "Yeah, they're just hanging out. Like, they're my friends." And they were like, "Okay." And what I didn't know actually is on set, the director, Lori, who's just the coolest, she's one of the coolest people there is. She was wearing the cloak, and she was kind of being my stand-in. And what they told her, they didn't tell me until after the videos. They were like, "So the wolves are used to it, like fake attacking people, so they might jump on you." And they told her that, but they didn't tell me. I guess because they were worried I would like not do the video or something. But they didn't. They were very nice. They were like little doggies, except wild beasts.
Any other questions?
We have time for one more. All right, third row.
Above. Hello. Sorry, we were doing things.
It's fine. Hi, Ali. My name's Fernando, and this is a dream come true to be able to ask you a question.
Wow.
Huge fan.
Thank you.
I'd have to say that, how did you feel when you were writing River Song? Because I just feel it's so tranquil, beautiful, and truly amazing.
Thank you. Wow. Well, I mean, I'm so honored that me just answering a question would be a dream come true. I'm kind of stuck on that for a minute. That's so sweet. That's lovely. There are some songs that come out of knowing that something needs to be communicated, and I'm kind of crafting it and working through it and cultivating it. And there are other songs that just come, and I don't know where they come from, and I don't know how they come, and all I know is that when they happen, I feel like they're coming through me. And when I wrote that song, it was like this thing that I have struggled with my entire life, of feeling different, and of feeling like I didn't belong, and of feeling like I had no home, really. I was managing somehow by some other thing to actually put that into words, and it was just a very, I just felt like I was exhaling that song. And it was the same thing when we were in the studio. It was like just sitting there, and everyone was playing at once, and there was just this sense everybody was just like lifted slightly with that song of we were all absolutely completely connected. We were all completely present, and we were all in that river, and we were all floating, and it was one of the most magical moments ever. I can still close my eyes and feel that. It was just total stillness. The whole song is one take. It just spilled.
Thank you for your great questions.
Yay. Okay. Thank you.